about you specifically. Be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and that you put on the new man, which was created according to God in true righteousness and holiness. Now, verse 25. Therefore, putting away lying, let each one of you speak truth with his neighbor, for we are members of one another. Young people, tell the truth. So, yeah, but if I do, I'll get in trouble. Well, you never should have done the deed in the first place. Own up to it. Take take the punishment for it. If you tell a lie, it's going to destroy your reputation, and it's going to make the situation even worse. If you don't believe it, just wait in life, and if you don't learn the lesson and you give it a try, it will come back around to bite you. In Ephesians chapter 3, notice with me there in verse 9. He says, do not lie to one another, since you put off the old man with his deeds. Don't lie to one another, but I'll tell you right now, I've known Christians that have lied. And they're not supposed to. It's a sin, and can send them to hell just like any other sin. Revelation chapter 21. Notice with me there in verse 8. Revelation chapter 21. He says, but the cowardly, unbelieving, abominable, murderers, sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars shall have the part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. Lying seems like such a simple and innocent thing, but it will condemn your soul to hell. Don't engage in it. Don't let your reputation be destroyed. Let's continue on a little bit farther here with this. What about laziness? We're running short of time. We won't go into the passages a whole lot. I do want you to focus, though, on the subject of laziness. Let's move on from what Solomon had said there to Matthew chapter 25. Some people, young people I've known, are lazy in their work ethics. They are lazy in regards to their family responsibilities. They are lazy in regards to the relationship with other people. And they're lazy in regards to the Bible study and worshiping God. But in Matthew chapter 25, remember the story of the parable of the talents. The Lord had left with, the master there had left with one 5 talents, left with another one 2, and left with another one 1. The one that had 5 talents went and turned that into 10. The one that had 2 went and turned it into 4. The one that was 1 had only 1 talent, did nothing with it. And later when his master came back, he had nothing to show. He called him a lazy and slothful servant. How many of us in our lives have been lazy in regards to the aspect of responsibilities within our life? What about in relationship to our Father in heaven and study of the Word of God? What does Solomon say? He said, laziness casts one into a deep sleep. It'll destroy you physically. It'll eternally destroy you spiritually. But let's move on here, though. What about sexuality? Sexuality. What we're talking about with this is that concept of sexuality belongs only within a marital relationship. Any type of premarital sexual activity is wrong. It is wrong in the eyes of God. Look at Ephesians chapter 5. I want you to notice there in verse 19. Galatians chapter 5, that is. Notice with me there in verse 19. Galatians chapter 5, verse 19, he says, now the works of the flesh are evident, which are, he lists adultery, fornication, uncleanness, and lewdness. Adultery is relationships with someone other than your spouse. Typically, fornication are relationships with those before you're married with someone else. But notice the next 2 words that it mentions there in verse 19. He says, uncleanness and lewdness. If you do a study of those words, you can sum it up like this. Uncleanness and lewdness will be those things that would lead to adultery and fornication. That behavior, those apparel, those words, those thoughts that would lead to adultery and fornication. Young people, they say everybody out in the world has taken a very lax view, and this is the way the world is, not for Christians. Christians do not walk in this example. Christians believe what God said, or God through the writer in Hebrews 13 verse 4. He says, marriage is honorable and the bed undefiled. Whoremongers and adulterers God will judge. Inside marriage relationship is fine. Outside the marriage relationship, it is wrong and must be left there. What did Solomon say? Talking about the immoral woman. Says that in the end she is bitter as wormwood. And that's what the sexual relationship is outside of marriage relationship. Now, what about pornography? Let's bring this into the factor real quick. Pornography is an academic problem. Not academic, but is well, I've got the wrong word there, but it's a big problem. It is it's a big problem in our society today. The internet and all the good things of it, No longer do you have to find some little hole in the wall in some seedy part of town. No longer do you have to go into the store and buy a magazine and wonder who's looking over your shoulder at the magazine you're buying. Now you just type a few little letters on your keyboard and you've got it there. It is a problem that is building every day within our society. And I've known gospel preachers taken down, destroyed within their lives because of this. I've known gospel preachers who have fallen to this, and then the very next step from pornography is adultery. And they've taken that next step. What does the Bible say? What does Matthew chapter 5, verse 28? Jesus made the statement there that if a man looks after a woman, and this is why pornography is wrong, if for nothing else, here's why it's wrong. If a man looks after a woman to lust after in his heart, he's committed adultery with her already. It is a sin to look at the pictures, no matter what medium they may be, to sit there and look at those pictures and to long for those pictures, to lust after those pictures. It is wrong, no matter what anyone says. Freedom of speech, freedom of whatever they want to say, it's still wrong in the eyes of God. Psalms 101 verse 3 says, I will set no wicked thing before my eyes. Young people, this needs to be your determination. I will set no wicked thing before my eyes, and I hate the ways of those who are evil. Consider Job 31 verse 1. Write this in your hearts, young people and older people alike. Job chapter 31. Memorize this verse. Make this verse a part of your life. Job 31, notice with me there in verse 1. Job says, I have made a covenant with my eyes. Why then should I look upon a young woman? Young people, have you made a covenant with your eyes? Not to let your eyes behold that which is contrary to the Word of God. Not to allow your eyes to lead you into the realm of sexual immorality. Keep yourself pure, keep yourself safe. So that when you enter into the marriage relationship, your heart is whole, your spirit is pure. And then you have the relationship so granted by God in the lawful area. Solomon said, her feet go down to death, her steps lay hold of hell. And then lastly, and the lesson will be yours, rebelling his authority. And we could stop the lesson and continue it tonight, but we won't. And do a whole lesson on this right here. Young people, you have a responsibility to be loyal to God.